When did you say, hey, I think I could make money doing this shit? We're here with Daniel Gomez Inspires, who is from San Antonio, Texas, but he's slowly learning that Lake Dunlop in New Braunfels is a sweet spot. So I wore my shirt today just to remind him where he's at and what he's up to. But welcome, Daniel.
Tommy Bonner Enterprise. Look at, dude, I'm in an epic studio that was a dream. Like, bro, you know how many people talk. So many people talk, and they never do. And what I admire about you is you do the do. Like Mountain Dew, you do the do.
I try. Like I've said on other stuff, we decided about the beginning of January that we wanted to do a podcast studio. And when I say we, I mean me. I decided I'm going to do it, and I have no clue where it was going to go or what's going on or where it's headed. But the goal of the podcast is to interview entrepreneurs and people and hear their journeys. So I don't know if we have an hour for your journey or 45 minutes or we're going to cut reels, but we're here. So
we got 3 hours, man. I got the whole Sunday afternoon for you, brother. And man, you know, I love what I do, right? I'm from San Antonio, Texas, born and raised. And just this morning, me and my wife were reflecting, crying, realizing how far God's brought us. A picture came up on Facebook, and when she had her first major surgery, right? My journey in entrepreneurship, really that I hit it hard, was in 2017 when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Had a double mastectomy. She got depressed for a season, and my whole life changed because at that point in life, I had to make a decision. Like you made a decision to start this podcast. Daniel Gomez had to make a decision. Was he going to hire somebody to take care of his wife, or was he going to man up and resign and take care of her himself without knowing what the outcome was going to be? And I chose to walk away from a $250,000 a year job to take care of her. And my intentions were to go back into automotive, but God had other plans, and that's how I'm here in front of you, man. He gave me the idea, and it wasn't a loud, audible voice. I just felt it in my heart that to become a motivational speaker, and people laughed at me. People made fun of me.
how long were you thinking? How long did you have this dream of becoming a motivational speaker, or moving out of the car business? How long was that burning inside you before you even decided, we think we want to move on it? How many years?
Not even years. They're talking about days, bro.
Really?
Days. Like, my wife got diagnosed in September 2017. She made the decision to have surgery, so the surgery was November of 2017. And that's when I walked away from the automotive industry of late. I think it was like mid-November. And then in December, like in those 6 months, in those 6 weeks, right? And so from November 17th, 2017 to like a month later, 30 days later, right before Christmas, I said, shit, I got a lot of junk in me, man. Like, I looked in the mirror, and as a grown man for the first time at 44 years old, Tommy, I didn't like the dude in the mirror. And you know who that dude was?
Yeah, you.
Me. All the shame, all the guilt, just started rising up, man. Because, right, the truth is when she had the surgery, this is what happened. Your 100 employees are gone. Used car inventory is gone. New car inventory is gone. Your friends are gone because the truth is, right, people love you. They come around, but after a while, people's lives go on, and we're not the number one concern.
No.
And it's just not in a bad way or a good way, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So it was just me and Marty at home for days, and man, some shit started arising that I hadn't dealt with, and that's where my personal growth journey really started. And so by the end of 2017, the idea had come about becoming a motivational speaker. And literally before the end of January 31st, 2018, I was all in.
What the first few people that you told, I'm going to go become a motivational speaker, tell you?
We just talked about that this morning. My wife thought I was crazy. She didn't tell me that, but I told her.
She's probably a little bit right. You're probably a little crazy. But what was that like with the first few people that you told that, and what were their reaction, and how did that sit with you?
They said, Daniel, you know how many Mexican, right? I'm Mexican American. I'm proud to be Mexican. And they said, you know how many Mexican motivational speakers there are in the world? I said, I have no idea. They said, bro, there's not many. I said, well, God put it in my heart, man, and he's going to make it happen. And that was kind of the reaction. I think just this morning we're talking about it because, like, my son Julian, right? I love him. I love all my kids. But Julian believed in me. He goes, Dad, that's badass. That's cool. And I think that's the faith that I needed him to give me, like the belief, his belief. You know, sometimes you have to borrow somebody's belief in yourself. I don't believe that jargon that people say, we got to believe in yourself first. Because sometimes, man, you get kicked in the nuts and it's hard to believe in yourself. Yeah. You've experienced that.
Yeah, I had a post about it the other day. I mean, as an entrepreneur, we get beat all the time.
And my son just kind of you know, he was 17 years old, just thought it was cool. And then as I shared it, they're like you can tell, like, they're like, yeah, we believe in you. And then they're like, you can tell, like, this dude's crazy, right? Mm-hmm. And then the thing was, I wasn't ready, right? I wasn't ready. One of my first YouTube videos that I did, my friend goes, dude, like, I wouldn't have hired you back then. I'm like, bro, I wouldn't have hired myself.
Yeah.
So I had some raw talent because as I ran the Chevrolet dealership for many years, I would do the sales trainings every single Monday. Not that I was a dictator, but I just love pouring into my team. I love inspiring them, saying, hey, you can go out there and do this and do that. So I had some practice for many years. I just didn't realize, right? So many times we don't realize that the foundation of what we've been doing for the past 5, 10, 20 years, it's for the new season that God's bringing us into.
Yeah.
So it kind of just gave me that credibility within myself to say, I got a little bit of training, but I was just raw. And so what I did is I put a sales training manual together because I knew how to sell, right? I was in sales for many years. I went and knocked on doors, and while I grew my sales training business and then speaking business, I worked on my speaking because my speaking was okay.
Yeah. What was the first paid gig that you had on your own in 2017 after you jetted out of the car business?
In 2018.
Or 2018.
This a friend of mine, Sandra and Marty, they own this spa now in San Antonio, and they called me and said, hey, we got this networking event. I want you to come and could you speak? And I'm like, it was like, that was the exclamation point that I needed. Like, God, you know, when you say, God, I need a sign, like, give me a sign that I'm not freaking crazy and losing it. Because at the end of the day, my son had just started going to Texas State. We had a $20,000 nut that we had to pay. I'm so responsible for my family as I'm starting this business. And it was just like, you know what? Yeah, I'll go do it. Well, somebody heard me speak there and said, hey, this guy's having an event. It was $1,000. They go, what do you charge? I'm like, you know what? Give me you know what? I'll do it for $1,000. And then I show up and I do the speech, and then I'm like, somebody gives me a check for $1,000. I don't know the ways of doing business yet in the speaking business.
You didn't know that you have to have an offer to monetize after your speech?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I spoke, man, and then it's like, it was just like imposter syndrome sets in because we're used to trading dollars for hours, right? I give you $20, you give me an hour of your time. And somebody gave me $1,000 for my time for an hour, and then I had to really like work through that.
I still have that problem because I've been paid to dig in dirt my whole life. Like you were snapping me or texting me earlier, hey, what's up with my sprinkler? Well, I get paid to solve those problems. I get paid to go put grass in, rock in, trees, make their property look beautiful. And then as we got the restaurants and stuff, I'm like, I'm pulling a paycheck and all I'm doing is selling beer and food. Like that's not labor, right? And so it still doesn't ring with me. I've been in the restaurant business now, bar business for 8 or 9 years. And it's still, because I, dug in dirt for so long, I still feel like, how did I earn that money? And then I did a deal with a guy the other day, sitting with him for a few hours and charged them to coach them up in here and sat with them for a few hours. But when I looked at what we had done and what we had created, I knew that the value that I had placed for this guy's life and moving him forward was well worth what he paid. if not more. And so the knowledge that you have and the knowledge that I have comes from past experiences, right?
Yes.
And a lot of these people might come to you and ask you things, and you're like that's so easy, but they just don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's like that old saying, right? You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I talk about that in my book, The Makings of a Millennial Mind, how we're so conditioned as a society that when I was growing up, I thought $5 an hour was a lot of money. Then $10 an hour is a lot of money. And then when you hear these people that are making $20 and $40 an hour, like, man, it's a lot of money. To a certain extent, maybe, but think about it. $40 an hour comes out to what, 80,000 a year. It's not a lot of money. So somebody gives you $40 an hour. You're like, I made it, right? In the middle class terms, I made it. But in truth, no, man. Like, well, if you would have told me 8 years ago that I was going to get paid $10,000 to speak for an hour, but you have to grow your self-image to that because we're not conditioned to think that way.
Right.
Most people self-implode and self-destruct, and then imposter syndrome sets in. But I had to do a lot of reframing within myself. And the thing, to your point, what you said, somebody paid you because you can collapse somebody's time, their learning curve, because you've been through this shit already. I've been through it.
Yeah.
So we can guide somebody through it and say it would take them 5 years to learn something.
Yeah.
Dude, we can learn something in a month or in a day, like you said it. And people don't realize it, but they try to figure it out on their own. And then they get frustrated and they don't want to hire a coach or pay for a mentor. And then they're stuck in that loop of confusion, frustration, because if you don't know, it's like this, right? Your background is lawn service.
Just a lawn boy.
No, just a lawn boy, right? But you answered my question and you solved it within seconds.
Yeah.
I had no idea. That's why I called you. So why would somebody try to figure it out and be hard-headed on business, right? If you think like an employee, they get stuck in that employee mindset.
Well, not only on like that example right there, he sent me a picture of a water pump that's not working and just conveniently located next to me while you were asking me was another lawn guy. And I said, well, I was telling him to pull the primer off the top, fill it with water. But then he sent me, and it's a cheap Home Depot pump, which is interesting. Those Home Depot pumps, if they're a horsepower and a half and you buy a nice Flint and Walling pump, they actually produce way more power at the same horsepower than that pump. But nobody cares about pumps. Point is, there were two of us that are kind of experts in sprinkler systems while you're texting right there. And so I was like, well, we'll either try that. We'll tell them to stick the hose down there, fill it up, prime it, and you'll be on your way. But luckily, since you don't even know what a union was, luckily that pump suctioned up and just started working again, right?
Yeah.
But you got to leave it on for a while. It takes a while to pressurize that system.
Yeah. But to that point, right? Somebody listening to this show right now, you need to humble yourself to ask for help.
Yeah.
You've been trying to figure it out for a month, for a week, for a year, and you're too prideful and your ego's in its way. Nah, I'm gonna figure it out. Let me Google it. You know what? I'm gonna Google it, Tommy. You know what? I ain't even gonna call him. I ain't gonna call Daniel. When you have so many people at your disposal, if you just put your pride and ego aside, and ask for help. And I think men struggle with that more than women do. We both do, right? Both men and women do, but just ask for help. And you answered the question. I asked you the question, you answered it. And then luckily the ex-homeowner called me back and she goes, just do this. And like within seconds it was done.
Yeah.
But I had to ask for help. And honestly, to be totally transparent, the old Daniel Gomez Inspires would have been like, I'll figure it out. Like, I'm good. Like, you know what? That Mexican machismo, it'll kick you in the ass and cost you more money because your pride and your ego, man. Even the Bible talks about that, right? Pride comes before the fall.
That's the same thing I'm doing as an example on the podcast studio. People can look and go, hey, he's successful. He's got restaurants. He does this, that. He's got it made, right? Well, I don't know how to work a computer. And the only way that this podcast was going to go is by me learning to work that computer and calling and asking for help. And it takes a little bit of brains to operate cameras, the computer, upload stuff, get it to YouTube. And so if you don't know, make some phone calls and put some effort into it. And I didn't want to learn this. This has been, you were talking about people who've been struggling for years and don't want to do stuff. I haven't been wanting to mess with computers for 20 years because every time you turn a corner, it's something else like, damn it. And so I just skip it.
But you know, the truth is this, right? You have to give yourself credit, Tommy, because you invested in a program and a coach where I met you, right? I met you in Nashville. Well, actually, in Murfreesboro was the first time. I was sharing the story with your buddy Trey last night, and that's where we first connected. Was at the lodge in Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
And then, but you invested money in Tommy. Daniel invested money in Daniel. And there's a lot of people out there that want to go to the next level in life and in business, but they don't want to invest in themselves. Like, you have to realize, people have to realize that they're their best investment. And because you invested in yourself, that's the thing about that. Like, we connected, we're both from San Antonio, Seguin area, but we connected in Tennessee. How's that?
It's a small world. But talking about investing in yourself, and I've used this analogy several times, but it's just interesting. If we've got a son, daughter, whoever, or we want to get better, we want to work out, we're going to call a coach, right? No matter what. Little Johnny needs help with softball. Let's call the coach. He's going to fix these problems. Daughter needs help. But when grown people that have a business need help, you know how many hard-headed people I see that are like, nah, I'm not going to call this guy and I'm not going to go get coaching. And the past year for me in Nashville, we go to a guy named Coach Michael Burr, and he's a great coach. But even the other people that he brings in, the amount of positive change that I brought to my businesses and organization, just from hearing it and seeing it on different angles, I have grown tremendously in the past year. And people can get that same thing with you here in San Antonio and see what you've learned, because they're paying us for our past, right?
Yes.
So we're paying and we're going to listen really to some of the best people in the world. So the money that somebody's going to pay you to come coach them or me to come coach them on simple things, again, you just explained it'd be a quantum leap in their business, skipping all these steps just to go straight to where they need to be instead of figuring it out on their own.
Well, the truth is, if a business has a problem, who's the problem? The business owner, the leader of the organization. You know, we back a couple of years ago, I was blessed to go to an event there with Floyd Mayweather, and one of my top clients, Jared, we connected there, and you know, sometimes you don't realize the impact you have on somebody when you meet them. And I have the tendency of praying for people when I meet somebody, right? That's my jam. God's my source, right? To me, like me or not like me, you can unfriend me.
Yeah.
Well, then he was following me on Instagram, and we just started working together. And it's like sometimes it's us inside our souls, our heart. Like I was saying, me as a man, I've carried a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of regret. And that can stop your business. That could put a lid on your business, and people don't realize it. They always work on the revenues, the sales, the strategies. But the truth is this: is you as a human being, if you have an issue, you're going to be a lid for that business. Mm-hmm. And we started working together, and they've made multi-millions. But not just, I'm not saying it's on me, but the work that we did one-on-one, they did their EBITDA went up. They did a private equity buyout, and it produced millions. And the thing is this, is when you invest thousands, many times the reward is millions. Yeah. But you're too scared to let go of that thousands, and you wonder why you're stuck.
Yeah, it's definitely been eye-opening for me to go and do coaching and learn. And it's not even, that's why we do Business Under Fire podcast, is because I've always enjoyed other people's stories that are working for themselves. And it's kind of like how I met you and why I got interested in you, because I want to watch your journey. You started out doing it, and I'm just watching where it goes, because I know that you're putting in the time, you're putting in the effort, you're putting in the coaching. You're not scared to go. You're not scared to fail. Just like you said when you started, I had imposter syndrome. I was nervous. Well, But now you're working on this daily and chiseling away and exercising these muscles just to get better and better. And you look back on where you were even a year ago or 2 years ago to where you're going. I can't wait to see what you're doing in 10 years. and the truth of it is none of it came easy. Every day you have to get up and work. Every day you get up and read. Every day you pick up that phone and call people. And so I'm interested to see your journey on what, I don't know if it's called a motivational speaker, but business coach. And I've watched Daniel speak for those that haven't. He speaks really well. He gets the crowd's attention. He's powerful. He's a little bit louder than most of the speakers. So he sticks out when he comes in, and you do a good job of working the room. So when you get really refined and really, and you're just going to get better and better. It's like what Rene Rodriguez said. His biggest insult is you're a natural speaker. And, one day people are going to be saying to you, Daniel, you're just a natural speaker, bro. And you're going to be like, I don't think so.
No, it takes, I think like anything else in business, it takes reps. Yeah. Right? You think of the great Tiger Woods or any great golfer. They hit over 5,000 golf balls a day when they're getting ready for these tournaments, for these Masters. A day. So within 30 days of a month, they're hitting freaking 150,000 golf balls.
Yeah.
And these are pros. And we, as business owners, we think, well, I'll do something once and I've mastered it. No. Like I get up and I said, man, like, what do I need to work on a day? That's why I still do Facebook Lives, because it gives me, it gives me in the flow of speaking. It gets me in the flow of sharing content. And then next thing you know, when you get on a bigger stage, you're ready because you already put it into reps. Mm-hmm. So the truth is that every day you got to work on yourself. Every day you need somebody to be a soundboard for you. Every day you need to say, okay, well, what can I do a little bit better? Not to compare yourself. I think the biggest mistake a lot of business owners make is they compare themselves. They compare their chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 12 or someone else's chapter 20.
Yeah.
And you can't do that.
No.
I just had this conversation with one of my own employees. I said, look, I've been doing sales for over 25 years. Like, I'm at chapter 20, you're on chapter 1. So don't compare yourself the way you're interacting with people. You're doing a great job. You're where you need to be. Before you know it, that those seeds are going to explode and you're going to be getting even bigger results. But you can't compare your chapter 1 to my chapter 20. I think a lot of people in business, they look at that. And that's why I did a live yesterday, or this weekend, Saturday. Yeah, yesterday. And I just said, I was talking about how my week was a hard week, right? How my week sucked. Mm-hmm. It didn't suck all the way, but I hurt my back on Monday working out. I traveled. I had my agenda going into this event. I was prepared. I didn't get a chance to use my PowerPoint. Things didn't go the way Daniel wanted them, and it took me off. I hindered on that. Then we had some other issues that came up in the production of the work that we do for our clients. And then I came back and just things didn't go right. Then no marriage is perfect. Me and my wife had a disagreement Friday when I get back. Like, everything was just, but I reflected on it. I took accountability. I took responsibility. And I'm like, I need to grow in this area. I need to grow in this area. But the truth is, it was a hard week for me, Tommy.
Yeah.
And that's why I did the live, because everybody talks on Facebook. Oh, it's beautiful. It's wonderful. Yes, we got the lake house. Yes, we do a lot of great things. Yes. But the truth is this, is that you're going to have days and weeks that are, they're not bad days. I call them character building days.
Yeah.
You're going to have character building weeks. And that's when you grow. But most people don't want to do that.
Yeah. No day's perfect, especially when you're working for yourself, when you're on the road. And if you would just learn when you're arguing with your wife that it's always your fault, then you will be okay. And Daniel's wife is sitting next to us.
She likes that, right?
I call it the live studio audience here in the podcast. But I heard a little thing the other day on when you come up to a problem, whether it's business, wife, whatever it is, and we know we're going to be in that relationship and we want this relationship to go. We're not trying to win the argument, right? We're trying to unravel a knot and make that line straight again. And so when I've been looking at things and you want to just automatically fire back, you say, look, me and the wife is this example. Me and the wife are married. We want to be happy. Let's unravel this knot, get it right, and work together instead of trying to butt heads and break the knot. And so that's helped me a lot. But you did something else last week that I haven't got to ask you.
I want to touch that because I think it's important because there's a lot of business owners that are married, man or woman, right? Whether the man's running the show or the woman's running the business, whichever one. But sometimes when those disagreements come up, like because of that disagreement we had on Friday, and it got pretty heated.
Y'all are Mexican.
We're Mexican,
and she's a Mexican lady, so she has fire.
But do you know what the beautiful thing about it is so many great conversations came up because of that disagreement we had on Friday. And just this morning, we were out there at our lake house and we were just talking, and we had some real deep conversations. We went over like 3 issues that we had to resolve, and so many people don't want to have those deeper conversations. And going back to the comment that we talked about earlier, right? The way you do something is the way you do everything. If you can't have real conversations that can help you in your marriage, how are you going to have those conversations with your kids? Mm-hmm. How are you going to have those conversations with your employees? How are you going to have those conversations with yourself? So even though there's disturbance, right? There's disruption within the relationship because of Friday. It like soiled the soil,
mm-hmm.
and we had some great conversations this morning that we needed to have, because in order to go higher, we have to have the proper foundation. If not, that's where you self-destruct.
Yeah, makes me think of a few conversations I need to have. So it's kind of the same thing on the way over here. Like, oh man, getting bothered again. Just like whatever. So, but you can't just let it sit there.
That's what I love about you, bro. We just have some real conversations, and it's good to have. I'm grateful you're in my life, man. I really am.
Thanks.
You've been a blessing.
Thanks. You were. I wanted to find out what was going on because you posted something that you went somewhere. I guess it was in Florida. It was the Chick-Fil-A thing.
Yes.
And we were talking about that, as a business owner or whatever, we want to get better on ourselves. We're investing in ourselves. And then, so Daniel's living it. What was the Chick-fil-A thing all about? In my opinion, a elite restaurant company. You can see it when you go through the drive-thru. You can see it when you order. Just the way that they get stuff done and handle their customers, their customer service. You can see cleanliness on the restaurant when you drive up, and it shows that they've got a method to their madness that really works. So what'd you learn at Chick-fil-A in Florida? What was it?
Well, it was in Atlanta. We went to their corporate headquarters. We were there for 3 hours, actually. It was amazing. And for those that don't know, Chick-fil-A started in Atlanta. It was called the Dwarf House. And me and my wife were actually talking about it. So to give somebody a point of reference, locally here in San Antonio, we have a big H-E-B, a big grocery store called H-E-B.
Yeah.
And so H-E-B, we started as a small little grocery store, convenience store or corner store in Kerrville back many years ago.
Yeah.
So from that little store, the huge organization of H-E-B is born.
490 stores or something.
The same thing happened with Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, a small little restaurant called the Dwarf House, which literally had only like 4 or 5 counters to sit at the counter. And it was little. But from that little restaurant, the huge organization of Chick-fil-A came about. So for me, I always believe that when God's getting ready to take you somewhere, he always gives you a preview of where he's taking you to. So to myself, I'm like, why am I here at Chick-fil-A? Like, first of all, it was badass. It was an amazing experience. But for me, you learn from the best. Like, right, Truett Cathy, they're closed on Sundays. Like, he got a lot of pushback because of that. He was discriminated on, talked about, because why you close on Sundays? You're missing out on business. And the truth is, Truett Cathy said this: we earn more in 6 days than most businesses earn in 7 or 8. And because that's a principle, right? Listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. The business strategy will change. The business process will change, but the business principle will never change. Mm-hmm. And he stuck to his principles. And that's what I took away from that, right? Put people before profits and stick to what you believe in. Don't water down your integrity or your morals because you're pushed. And another example that really spoke out to me there was in that little restaurant. Smoking was cool back then. If you were right, I'm 51 years old, so back in the day in the 60s and 70s, smoking was cool. So Joe Cool was the camel. You wanted to be like Joe Cool, but one of his employees was smoking, his dishwasher, and Truett Cathy said, "Hey man, like I want you to write down the benefits of smoking, the advantages and disadvantages of smoking." And he was a teenage kid, right? And the kid looked at him and said, "Why, sir?" He goes, "Well, why are you smoking cigarettes?" He goes, "Sir, I bought these cigarettes from your cigarette machine in the front of the restaurant."
Oh.
So this is the catch. So in that time, right, coming out of the Great Depression, that cigarette machine was like 35% of his profits.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Think about that. The cigarette machine was about 35%. Don't quote me on the exact percentage, but it was over 25%.
Yeah.
So he had to make a decision, right? He's over here trying to coach and mentor this young man, but he had a cigarette machine that was going against what that, and that was most profitable item in his restaurant that was just launching. He took it out. People before profits.
Yeah.
And what I took from that is that I see a lot of young business owners that, and I'm guilty of this myself, right? I'm still working through this, to be honest with you, is right. We make a change in our business, or we try to do for people, and we expect instant gratification, and that instant gratification didn't happen. But this is the thing. As I was there doing this tour, I said the idea, right? Because the Dwarf House was his first restaurant. The Chick-Fil-A sandwich, as we know it, hadn't been invented yet.
I like Chick-fil-A's name a little bit more than the Dwarf House.
But this is what I thought to myself. And I said this in the tour. Would the idea of the Chick-fil-A sandwich come about, and the name, if he hadn't taken out that cigarette machine? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
But I believe that God rewarded him, God honored him for sticking to the principle, taking out the cigarette machine, because he was trying to help this young man, and it was going against what his beliefs were.
When was the Chick-fil-A started about? See how good you're paying attention to the tour.
Man, I don't know exactly, but I will.
Was it in the 50s?
No, but I'll say this. See, I remember I used to work at this company called Plan Interscapes. We talked about it the other day in San Antonio. They since changed their name. They're in business, but they're a bigger corporation now. But I remember working at Plan Interscapes, going to a mall that doesn't even exist anymore. We're giving away our age here, Tommy.
Was it Central Park Mall?
No, bro, Macreles Mall.
Oh,
Remember Macreles Mall on the south side?
Yeah.
Orale. So I remember we went and did the plants at Macreles Mall. Chick-fil-A was a new idea. It was probably 1995, 1996. And Chick-fil-A was just getting into malls, really ramping up. So this was probably about 35 years ago. Truett Cathy was in business, right? Before he really hit huge success. Mm-hmm. It took him like 60 years.
Yeah, and that was kind of my point, is everybody thinks overnight success, and Chick-fil-A is a 60-year-old company. Like, there's 24 hours in a day, and that guy must have just been hustling day in and day out.
All the money he invested, and what really stuck out to me was that amidst the adversity, right? I think when he really pushed to grow Chick-fil-A, it was in I want to say it was in 1985, and at that time, interest rates, right? You have businesses, interest rates on loans for business, a restaurant, it was 20%, bro, 20 to 24%. Imagine that, $10 million. So just on the $10 million loan, he was paying $2 million in interest, and he bet on himself to that magnitude.
That's a lot of money. And for anybody that wants to talk about banking and interest, I'm looking for a banker to come in here and talk for an hour and a half on the podcast about how new businesses get loans, what type of loans that they can offer, how to get it backed if they want to use real estate, and so on and so forth. So if you're a banker out there anywhere in the U.S. and you want to come on here and talk about your bank,
Marty's a banker.
we would like to have you.
Some of
here.
our studio audience is a banker.
Our live studio audience. Put the headphones on, Marty. But
going back to that, right? Going back to that, I want your audience to hear this. As a business owner, you must start surrounding yourself with your future self.
Yeah.
Truett Cathy took out that $10 million loan at 20+% because he was surrounding himself and betting on his future self. You have to surround yourself with your future self, and you have to bet on the future self. You better look at this awesome studio we're in, bro. Like you invested thousands into the studio because you were betting on the future you.
Well, the studio is a good example, and you saying that you have to hang out with, people, birds of a feather flock together. But I started the podcast with a couple things in mind, but no real clear goals, no clear targets. And one of my goals is just to see where it goes. What happens with 52 episodes on a podcast? Where's it going to go? And that's why I talk to business owners that have started their own thing for my whole life, because I like to see how they got there and where it's going. But one of the things that I get to do in this podcast is I get to sit with people. They come in, they get to see the airplane hangar, which is unique in itself. We get to talk to them, and then I get to hang out with them for 2 hours, and I'm hanging out with the top 1% in the world. And so to be able to share time and stories with them is one of the things that has occurred with the podcast that I just realized. And it's a blessing to be able to do. And it's great because we're not hanging out with Nimrods for 2 hours. We're hanging out with guys with experience, stories. We've talked about stuff on this podcast with people, and then they go and they're like, dude, I'm going to go do this at my work. And then I get to check in with them. And they're like, oh, yeah, we just did that, or we need this. And things just come together in this room with business guys, and they're the top business guys in their game. So
well, the truth is this, right? People are busy, so they say they are. And maybe they are. But people will not make time for you. If you call somebody and say, hey, can I meet with you for 10 minutes, 20 minutes? I'm busy, right?
Yeah.
Hey, man, you want to be on my podcast? I'm there.
Yeah.
Because of our podcast, the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we're one of the top podcasts in the worldwide. How else was I going to have a conversation with Brad Lee?
Yeah.
How else was I going to go to Scottsdale, meet Brandon Dawson, and have him on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show? If I would have said, hey, Brandon, can I get an hour of your time? Yeah, it's going to cost you $10,000, right?
Yeah.
But because of a podcast, hey, man, I want to invite you in. Will you be my guest? And you can't be intimidated, right? I'll admit when I invited Bradley to be on the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, I was a little intimidated,
For
right?
sure.
Because he's here right at the time I was here. It's been a couple of years back. But when Brandon Dawson, I connected with Brandon because I put myself in that bigger room with Brad Lee. But because of that, the Daniel Gomez Inspire show grew. But they made time for me because of the podcast. So what you're doing is now, right? People will be too busy for time. I don't got time. Hey, you want to be on my podcast? You just told me, right? This guy's going to probably fly in from England. Imagine that.
Yeah.
To be on your show, dude. Why? Because people will make time for a podcast.
I know, and it's interesting, but I'm having fun with it too because when I was landscaping, trying to get commercial properties takes forever. So I have a list of commercial properties I want. We send them pizzas, cupcakes, cards. I drop by. What's up, Miss Jones? You look beautiful today. Whatever we can to get it. So now I have a hit list of guys that I want on my podcast. And every morning I sit down on this computer. They're getting a DM. They're getting an Instagram. They're getting FedEx packages with Starbucks gift cards, and I'm hitting them until they're sitting in that seat right here. And you can mark my words right now. One of the one that I'm really
hold on, Marty. Did we get our Starbucks gift card? What the hell, bro?
Well, not everybody is as hard, but these guys are out of state. And of course they're quote unquote busy, right? But I'm going to have the Dano seasoning guy on here. Do you know who he is?
Who's that?
He's Dano seasoning. He started his seasoning from scratch. He was a bartender, and his seasonings are great. And they're all over the U.S. They're all natural, not a ton of magnesium in them. And he's grown this seasoning business from making all the seasoning and products in his buddy's restaurant to a big manufacturing plant. He's in Kroger, Walmart, H-E-B, and he's got reels all over YouTube, and he doesn't know I'm talking about him, but I can guarantee you I'm going to have him here one day. And if it makes me setting up a business meeting with a vendor that it's got him, I'm going to find out how to get him here because he's got a great story. And so he's just one example. I got Matt from Meat Church is another barbecue guy that I got on my hit list. I got country singers that are big that are on my hit list. So the podcast for me is it's not a game. I mean, it's not a game when you're trying to make sales, right?
Yes.
And I'm not making money, and if I am, it's very little. But I want these people here because I want the audience to hear their story. Because right now I'm only committed to 52 episodes, so they better start getting good.
Well, the truth is this, right? By you launching your podcast, what it did for me and what it's doing for you is you're learning too, right? Because you're learning from your guests, and there's guests that you're going to bring in that are at a higher elevation, to say, and it's like you're getting a free education for the next level.
Yeah,
and it's only up from there. Because that's what I love about you, the way you think. Because you bet on you. There's so many business owners that don't bet on them.
Well, we try, but I'm there soaking up everything that they say too, but it goes back to me being a kid. I've been asking people about their business since I was a kid. And so when we thought, what can the podcast be on? It's just about people's business, how they grew their business. And if it takes turns and goes wherever, I don't know where it's going. But the nice thing is I'm not going to fail because I have no expectations except to see what occurs. So,
yeah. Well, so the good thing about a podcast like a business, right, is you always hear people say, well, I want to grow and scale my business. But the truth is they haven't even grown in the level they're in. Right. So think about your business right now, ladies and gentlemen. Like we hear these terminologies. I want to grow and I want to scale. I want to grow. I want to scale. Well, yeah. But have you grown in the level that you're at yet? Before you scale to the next business, the next level in your business, you got to grow in the level that you're at. And the truth is this, most people haven't grown their business to the level it needs to be at in their first level, and they're trying to scale because they think it's a cool thing, and they're wondering why their business is stuck or their business isn't going where it needs to go. And they're not even maximizing their Let me give you an example. Everybody wants to be cool. You brought up reels, right? Everybody wants to be cool and say, well, I'm a 7-figure earner. I'm an 8-figure earner. Great. But I know 7 and 8-figure earners that are broke, man.
Yeah.
Focus on profitability. Like, let profitability be the new sexy for you. Don't worry about getting to 7 figures, 8 figures. What does it do to make $1 million if you're freaking losing $1 million? And I've helped businesses like that.
Yeah.
Because they were so fixed, right? 7 figures is the vanity if you go about it the wrong way.
Well, and that's part of my journey right now. And that's why I started going in with Coach Bert, because I was just kind of at a spot. Our winters were in seasonal businesses. The waterfall shuts off December 15th. We got graduation in a college town. We're in a beach town, and our income just drops like tenfold. It's a ton. So we got to save money all winter long, all summer long to get through the winter. But over a year ago now, my business partner, I decided, dude, we're going to pay this property off. And so I have been focused on growth for years and years and years. And we made a decision that's going to take us 3 to 4 years to pay off these restaurants and pay off and slow the growth. And that's a hard thing for people to do when they're so focused on growth and they want to just keep going. And the truth of it is we made that decision in this last winter, which was the first winter that we decided we were going to focus on this. It had been about a year. This last winter was the easiest winter I've ever gone through. And we saved money. We did things right. And this year, today it's March. This is when our income and revenue really starts kicking off. It's kicking off. We don't have a bunch of loans that we had last year. Yeah. And this year is already starting to look better than any other year that we had. But I had to stop buying restaurants. I had to stop buying real estate and work and focus and mold where we're at to get that right. And that's a lot to do. And it's a lot to tell somebody, hey, stop buying these, because we're entrepreneurs. We get all these opportunities, right?
Yes.
Well, we don't have to jump at every shiny object.
Well, the thing is, that's a great example of growth. Before you scale to the next level in your restaurants, you grew it out. And I remember one conversation we had, and your audience needs to hear this, right? Like, it was a simple adjustment that you did. You said, you know what? We came up with the hot dog.
Yes.
And so the hot dog gave you new revenue.
Yeah.
Like so many people, they're trying to, we'll just say this is your product, this is your service, and you're trying to just do it with this. No, like, what's another product you have, ladies and gentlemen, within your product?
Yeah.
What's another product you have within your product?
With what does
that make sense?
Daniel's making an example, and we own restaurants and they get very busy at night. And we were wondering what we could do with the crew that we currently have without spending more money. And so what we end up doing is before the kitchen closes, we make hot dogs, which the college kids call glizzies. And we make chicken fajitas at the other restaurant. We make a couple hundred of them before they close. And then when all the bars, the restaurants are closed, we're the only people that have glizzies, hot dogs, and chicken fajitas. And we sell out every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. And I haven't tracked that income. I probably should, but you should. It's a good number. Well, I know they all sell out, and it would be nice to be able to spit that fact out. But there's a lot of things that you can do. We were meeting with the guy that wanted to be a realtor last week, and real estate was kind of the main focus, but he could do wholesaling. He can do open houses. He could do flipping lands, and so all kinds of things that you can do within your own business.
Well, think about it this, right? Like when I came out, to your point, I was a straight up motivational speaker, right? That was my revenue. And within the first year, we broke 100,000, and I didn't realize how much business I knew. As soon as I got into the business of motivational speaking, they're like, every speaker needs a book. Every speaker needs a book. I'm like, okay, I need a book. I go to this conference. I meet my first author. I'm like, wow, he wasn't nobody famous, but the fact that I met an author. So I came back with the desire to write a book. So I wrote a book. Now I have an asset. My book is my asset.
Tell people when you decided to write the book and publish it, give people a few examples of what that book has done for you. Real life examples.
So our first book, You Were Born to Fly, has made us over $500,000 in revenue. We still sell those on Amazon. We still, because of that book, You Were Born to Fly, we did our first program, and it sold out, right? It's an online program. I don't really focus on that anymore because I've kind of just grown to this other baby that we have now, but it produced right off the bat probably like another $100,000. The book became a program. The big break came when our new book, it's not new anymore, but in 2021, God put it in my heart to write The Makings of a Millionaire Mind. The Makings of a Millionaire Mind has sold thousands and thousands and thousands of copies. That became an online program. Because of the book, the online program, now we have every May and every November, we have the Makings of a Millionaire Mind Bootcamp. So that book, the concept of the book has produced over $1 million in revenue, and probably even more. I need to check that fact too, like you said. But the truth is that it's opened up so many speaking opportunities because of the Makings of a Millionaire Mind, the brand, we trademarked it. I go speak on, as a matter of fact, I'll be speaking again in Denver this June, and I'll be sharing the stage again the second time with Les Brown. Because of the book, I got invited back. So you have to start seeing a book as an asset, right? Your book is your new business card. And because of that, people started asking me for advice on book. I'm like, I'm not a book coach, but I did it within 5 years ago. We launched our book publishing company. Didn't really put a lot of energy behind it because I was speaking, I was doing other things. But now, these past 3 years, we rebranded. It's called DGE Publishing now. Mm-hmm. Now we mastered the concept of, okay, there's a lot of real estate agents, a lot of financial planners that have the wrong concept. They have an ugly baby and they wonder why, right? Why isn't my book selling, or what do I need to do? So we help you come up with the concept. The concept becomes your book title, and then we coach you through the process. When I wrote my first book, they just said write. I'm like, well, what do I write? It was like it was just a white document. I'm like, what do I start? But so we give you an actual book manuscript, and we coach you through that, and then that, right, becomes your coaching program or your training program, however you want to do it. Well, then your book is what you speak on, and we've been able to duplicate that and help just hundreds of people. And it's been, I love doing it because it's people don't realize, right? Like in business, you need assets. You have assets. Your hangar is an asset. Your plane is an asset. Like these are assets that your buildings, right? Not just your restaurant itself, but the building of the restaurant is an asset.
Right.
And most people, because they think like an employee, they don't think in assets. And that's where you need to focus on is, okay, what's a new asset I can buy in 2025? And books are assets. That's why I encourage people. So because of books, You Were Born to Fly, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind. We just launched our new book, The Sales Accelerator. If you're in sales, you got to go to, it's on Audible, right? I did that whole book. I invested in the Audible version of it because we do Audible books also with DGE Publishing. I think total, honestly, because of books, the seed, we've made easily over $2 million because of that. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even fudging that, right? I mean, one thing that pisses me off, and I just want to say this on air, I hate it. I dislike it because so many people are being misled. There's so many speakers and trainers and coaches out there that coach on a theory, on a hypothesis.
Yeah.
And the stuff that me and you do, we've lived it.
Yeah.
We've experienced it. Does that make sense?
Well, it makes plenty of sense because you see, and that's one thing, I don't have much of an ego. I don't do nothing. Like what you see with me is what you see with me.
You're sexy, baby.
But I get annoyed. I get annoyed when people are saying, I can go coach this, or you should do this in your business, or you should, and they have nothing. They've never done it. They've never lived it. And it is, I hate seeing it and the reason I hate seeing it is because I know what the quality of somebody like you that has lived through it and done it, the quality of someone like a Michael Burt that has been there, done that. He's walked it, he's talked it. And then we have people that are just claiming. And
well, like I spoke at this conference and this guy was speaking on success. And I drove to Dallas, and then I'm looking at him, and I'm like, bro, you just spoke on this lifestyle that you're not even living. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't being judgmental. I go, but that's your car. Like, you're not even practicing what you're preaching. You're not real, man. Mm-hmm. And people say, well, Daniel's showing off. Daniel's posting this on Instagram. Daniel's posting this on social media. I post our lake house because it's proof of concept of what God has done for Daniel. Right? You don't have to apologize for the favor on your life. You don't have to apologize, right? The fact that Tommy and Daniel have busted their tail for over 20 years, the consequence is success, right?
Yeah.
Our blessings, your airplane, right? You have a freaking amazing airplane. It's a consequence of you showing up every day. The fact that we're in your podcast studio, it's the consequence of you putting in the investment. The consequence of us, what we do, like, and my wife's here, right? She's in our live studio audience.
That's the truth.
She checked me. You know what?
Yeah.
So we're already going to be in our lake house a year, and when we're going through this process in my mind, right? I'm having to put out $250,000 down, real money, And I'm like, you know what, honey? We'll just sell our right. We'll sell our house, and we'll move to the lake house, and we'll be there full time. And she looked at me. She says, "No, you're not. We're not. Like, you're crazy." You know what she told me, and I love that she does it because she holds me accountable. But it like, right? Because she hears everything. Like, she's my fly on the wall. You tell your clients that you can do X, Y, Z. You coach them on this.
Yeah.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
But as a kid, what's the belief that we have as kids, right? In order to buy this house, we gotta what?
Give up.
Give up, sell the other one.
Yeah.
She goes, Daniel, even if you wanted to build out your podcast studio in the lake house, you're gonna spend another $50,000-$100,000. Like, no, like we have our house is our home.
Yeah.
So she challenged me, and I said, okay, God, if this is you, which I truly believe in my heart it's you, like, take us through this path. Because it's like you, when you buy other restaurants, the nuts are real, right? Every first of the month, not $100, thousands in overhead comes up.
About $100,000 a month in mortgages.
Yeah, so
that's a lot. It's a lot.
Mine ain't there, but the thing is this: is that it challenged me to really grow and put my coaching into play for myself at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, this past year has been a phenomenal year of not just growth, right? Like, listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. You grow in skill set, but you mature in character.
Yeah.
And many people don't want to mature in character, right? Like, to listen to what my wife says, sometimes it's a hard pill to swallow because, like, right, you're the man, you want to be the leader, but the truth is sometimes God will speak through your wife because he wants to see if you're going to listen and honor that.
Yeah. Are you looking for the best bites and coldest drinks in Port Aransas? Come grab a beer and a burger with us at Beer House, where the patio's always popping and the drinks are always top shelf. We're known for our signature prickly pear margarita, which is a hit, and our burgers are some of the best in Texas. We'd love to see you there.
But going back to what I was saying, the reason I post that, and the reason I post that when I'm traveling, or the reason I post that, right, God bless us with a new car, is to show people that, like, I'm living what I'm coaching you on. I'm living on what I'm teaching you on, right? Our lake house is now called The Getaway. Like, when you come now, we use that as a business asset. It's its own LLC.
Yeah.
We have our authors retreats. We have a masterminds there. Like, now we have another asset. But in the beginning, it's scary. But I post this content on social media to show people, like, I'm walking the walk. And, you know, I'm scared too sometimes.
Yeah.
But the truth is this, is that that's the only way you're going to grow and mature to the next level in business. If you can't handle this capacity of business, you're never going to handle this capacity of business.
Yeah. That's a good point. And I don't know if I do that just because I am blind and ambitious or just keep going. But I just, I push with what we have. And the podcast and the time that this has been taken has shown, what kind of organization that we've grown, because one of my partners retired from the city of Austin. So he's kind of down in one division, the other one's in another, and we have GMs. And this podcast has taken a lot of time, but the guys over there are handling my business, and it's such a beautiful thing. And when I tell one of my partners that I'm in Lubbock, don't worry about it, I got it handled, and they tell me I'm down in Port A, don't worry about it, I got it handled. It's like, it's such a nice thing to say. And now we have, his name Zamora, down in Port A, and he's like, bro, I got it handled. Don't worry about it. So you're talking about growth and where that can take you. And it's taken a long time to get to this point.
But the bigger thing I want people to hear in what you just said, one of the biggest lies that a lot of business owners are telling themselves right now, that is self-sabotaging their business, based on what you just said. You can still find great people that will help you.
Man.
And then this is another thing that I hear a lot of business owners that I gotta coach them through is good employees are hard to find.
You hear it.
Bullshit. BS.
Yeah.
You know what the problem is? You attract who you are.
Yeah. And I hear that all the time. Good employees, these employees suck. Well, you got to dig through a lot of shit to find a good one. And I read a book. I don't remember who it was by, but it was about interviewing really well. And so we've stepped up our interviews, and that helps knock out a bunch of the trash, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I'm going to give your audience a simple thing to do, right? Maybe you're out there, maybe you have a lawn service, maybe you have a restaurant, maybe you have a real estate broker, maybe whatever your restaurant, maybe you have a bakery. Get out a pad like Tommy has right here. Get out a pad and write down what type of employee you want.
Yeah.
Write down, I want a hardworking employee that's going to show up 15 minutes early to our bakery, that's going to care about our customers as much as we do, as much as the ingredients that we put in our cupcakes. I want somebody that's going to take care of our customers the same way. When you are intentional about the description of the person you want, guess who shows up?
Yeah, that would make.
But people never take time to do the right thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And when you write down, right, when you're intentional on the type of employee you want to attract to yourself, they show up.
Yeah.
But most people never take the time to be intentional, and their excuse is there's no good employees out there. And based on what you said, there's people that you can trust. There's people that want to help Tommy succeed at a grander level. But you have to become that person to be able to receive that type of person.
Well, while they're busy saying that there's no good employees, I'm here saying I'll put my team against anybody.
Boom, baby.
That's the truth. You watch Bar Rescue where they do the stress test. We do it every Friday and Saturday night. And our guys in the restaurants run like sewing machines. So, and they say, oh, millennials don't want to work. Well, 2 of my restaurants that have, 70 employees total, they do it and they make it look easy. So you can find them.
And they're all millennials, right?
Yeah, they're all millennials. And that's one of the things that about my business that I love is we get to work with these college students and develop them into who we want and where we're going. And then we put them in our organization. That's just worked very well.
Well, the truth is this, is there's a lot of old-timers in business that don't want to change.
Those old-timers that don't want to change, just so they know I'm looking for businesses that have been around for 10, 20, 30 years that they want to sell and owner finance a part of it. So if they want to have a meeting with me, we're looking. So you don't have to change. I'll help change it and get it to where it wants. And that's one of the points and one of the reasons we're doing the podcast, that I need to get out there more. But we've been here for an hour on Sunday.
Has it been an hour already?
Yeah, dude, it goes fast. Just sit in here and it's just like, this room is just.
Is Marty giving us a sign like,
no.
Is she doing this already?
No, I've been trying to keep them to an hour, hour and a half. But you get in this room and you forget what time it is. This kind of bluish purple is my favorite color. That's why we have it. And
it's a great vibe, man. I love it. I love it.
I've got a couple business deals, and when one of them finally hits and pays off in the next month or two, I went and visited with the guy that did Joe Rogan's podcast studio and builds these beautiful studios. And it was either a blessing or a mistake, because I'm already I was building this and somebody told me, you're going to change this right away. Well, they were right. It took me like 2 weeks to add and enclose it. And now I'm already looking forward to a bunch of other stuff. But I got a couple questions for you before we go that I really enjoy asking. They bring out some fruit. And so, but the easiest one is, what's next for Daniel Gomez? Where are you headed in the next 6 months, year?
Well, you asked the question earlier about the Chick-Fil-A trip that we took. And it helped me to see where I'm going. The Millionaires Institute, right? I talked about the book, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind. And in that trip to Atlanta, I saw our own bigger corporation coming to fruition. The Makings of a Millionaire Mind is going to produce our right. The Millionaires Institute, we're going to have our own venue inside of it. We have like 4 or 5 live events every year. We pay thousands at different hotels and stuff to house.
Y'all need to do one at an airplane hangar.
Let's do it.
I want to do it. That's one of my goals. Has just been floating around. We can have Burnt Bean cater it.
Yeah.
People show up just for that. And then you need to throw me in front of an audience because I'm deathly afraid of it. But I want to do it one time. But I'm deathly afraid it's like facing my fear.
But I see the vision of the Millionaires Institute really coming where it's a world-class organization where people send their employees for sales training, leadership development, mindset training, like the whole, everything to have a successful business and a successful organization. And that's what I really see for myself. And I see myself traveling the world even more on a grander scale. I've done a lot of international speaking, but I really see as we build out our own team that as I travel, I don't have to worry about that happening on the home front, right? Like you said, your guys take care of Port Aransas or Lubbock when you're not there, and I think we have the right people in place as we move forward. So that's really what I took away from that, because I believe that God gives you, right. I like Albert Einstein's quote that says, right, your imagination is the preview of things to come.
Right.
And my imagination just grew so much being there in Atlanta, like seeing the building, seeing the architects, seeing the when you walk in, they show you this welcome video at the theater room. Like I see that for myself.
And this was a thing that you paid for yourself, decided to go to, and invested in yourself. And I don't know what it cost or not, but my buddy used to say it's worth the dollar to spend on playing the lottery to imagine what I would do if I won for 2 or 3 days. And you invested in yourself, and now you're imagining what you're doing. And that is the first stage, is mental creation.
Yeah. And the second thing I want to do is I really want to grow our Sticker Shock Speaking Academy. I'm wearing our brand today. Is I really want to help more people learn how to really, like you said, get out of that fear of public speaking. And not just to speaking, of course, we're going to coach you and teach you how to speak, but really, how can you build a speaking business, right? I think my main shift was I didn't come into the world of speaking just to speak, to be a motivational speaker. I had bills to pay.
Right.
So I was building a speaking business, and I've mastered that. We had one of our attendees, Joseph Peck, just came to the one in September. Within 2 weeks of leaving, he made he landed a $20,000 paid speaking engagement.
Nice.
That's what it's about. Is really, I believe in what we do, Tommy. I believe in what we do, and going to Chick-Fil-A, it's really helped me to think more of the people that we're serving. Right? Not that I wasn't caring about our customers, but Chick-Fil-A is Chick-Fil-A because they go the second mile, and I think that for me, it's really implementing those values, those virtues, those principles into my own business of what I learned going over there. And I'm excited to see what God's going to do. And that's really what we have going on for 2025.
Well, I'm watching, and it'll be interesting. I love watching it. So keep up the good work. Your next question and homework assignment, Daniel, is a question that I got asked 2 podcasts ago, and it really hit home with me. And it is, what would you tell Daniel Gomez at 20 years old? And think about it.
What would I tell myself?
What would you tell Daniel Gomez now? Tell your 20-year-old self.
To dream bigger. I think when I was 20, I had just, I tried to commit suicide at 18. So I had a big scar. I still got my scar. I never had surgery to remove it, but I had a lot of anger, had a lot of hurt. And I would tell the younger Daniel Gomez that you can trust people. There's good people like Tommy Bonner out there. And that the world is a great place.
Yeah.
And that things get better, that things are temporary for a season. And just because you're going through a moment that seems hard, that God's going to pull you through and you're going to inspire millions of people. I would have never seen the life that I'm living right now for myself.
Yeah.
And it's the truth. So I would tell that younger version of me, you're destined for great things, dude.
It's a crazy thought to see how far you've come and people come in 20 years. And the last guy, Dodge Feeler, just said, he goes, dude, you're capable of more than you could ever imagine. And those, just like what you just said and what he said with me, just Land's hard, and I deal with college kids all day, and you speak on it to people, and it is. People do need to dream bigger because they're capable of so much more, and we're living proof of it. The guys we run around with are living proof of it. There's just steps that you've got to take to get there. You can't, there's no way around the hard work.
Yeah.
But if you get up in the morning and you work and you take these steps and you look back, you're a long way from where you were.
Well, if you would have told me when I was 20 that I was going to help to build an orphanage in Africa, I would have been like, how? Like, I don't know anybody in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're doing that right now. Right? It's pretty much almost complete, but we've been able to help and provide a place of food for young men, young kids, and it's a school orphanage. So it just, I really see myself in the future. Like, I would like to see a DGE, like with our thing. You know, we help sponsor a part of this orphanage that they're finishing, and but I see myself soon, within 10 years, like we're gonna build one.
And you can't do that without hard work.
It takes revenue. It takes money.
You can't. And one of my texts today was a guy out of Lubbock that needs a sponsorship for something as small as a soccer team, and we're glad to be able to do it. And we wouldn't be able to do it if my millennial team in Lubbock that's so terrible, which they're not, they're unreal, wasn't kicking butt. So that's a good story. I appreciate you coming here today. For those that don't know, it's Sunday. Daniel and I have been talking about doing a podcast with no rhyme, no reason, no agenda, just to come in here and chit chat, knock it out, put out some content. And so I appreciate you coming. Thank you for coming. Our live studio
audience.
Yeah. She didn't know how long we were going to be here today, and I didn't either, but it's a beautiful Sunday day, so let's get out there. I got to go take my son fishing. He loves to fish on Sundays, and so we're going to go do that and then take it easy and get ready for the work week ahead.
Well, thank you for having me, Tommy. Yeah, I love you, brother. Like, this is a cherry on top, and the day's not even over, but just to see you grow and to see what you built here as an idea and doing the work. I mean, that's what business and life is about. And I'm proud of you, man. So just
thanks.
I can't wait to see you in a year.
We're
So I'm gonna tell you ahead of time. Just already plan the next 52 because it's gonna happen.
Well, that's the reason I'm doing 52 is because these podcasters all get started and they do 3, 4, 5 and they bail out. So my 0 is 52. And that shows who I am and what I am, because I'm not going for 3, 4, 5. We're doing 52, and I'm probably 10 episodes ahead, interviews already at this point, which I could lay off the gas, but I'm not. I'm going to do 2 more this week. I've done 2 in a day, and so we're going. Where can plan for the next 52? That's like another year away. Where can people find out all their information about you? How can they get a hold of you?
We'll go to danielgomezglobal.com. That's danielgomezglobal.com. Our other website is danielgomezspeaker.com. And my email, send me an email, right? Just mention this amazing podcast of Tommy. Send me an email and put in at danielgomezspeaker.com. That's danielgomezspeaker.com. And just put in Tommy Bonner's podcast. And then what I'm going to do for you is give you a complimentary 30-minute discovery session, my gift to your audience. And I'm easy. Our brand is Daniel Gomez Inspires. So we're at Instagram. Our big following is on Pinterest and also on LinkedIn and Facebook. And look for the DG logo. That's who we are. And we'd love to hear from you, man. So thank you for that opportunity to plug in, Tommy.
Cool. We look forward to seeing you again. Maybe we'll do a follow-up in 6 or 8 months and see where we're at.
Let's do it, brother.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you to our studio audience.
If you're looking for the best Tex-Mex in Lubbock, Texas, look no further than Miguel's. We're located right off of Broadway. In addition to great Mexican food, Miguel's building inside and outside is 100% hand-painted by local artists. So if you're the artsy type and you want to spend a little bit of time and get a meal at a great restaurant, come see what we have at Miguel's. You won't be disappointed.